Module 2, Carbohydrates and Controversy with Scott Wustenberg. Part 1, Information about fuel sources and how to survive in the modern world. Let's start with the obvious point to take home. Carbohydrates are essential for life, but not as you imagine. In this lesson, we're going to discuss them in detail, from chemical structure to how much we actually need. So, let's get the controversial part of this lecture out of the way, right up front. Most everything you know about sugar and carbohydrates and how much you should eat in your diet is wrong. Or at best, it's only partially true. To be clear, carbohydrates are not an essential part of the human diet. The human body can make all the carbohydrates it needs by gluconeogenesis, converting fats and proteins into glucose and carbohydrate molecules that are required in the body. That doesn't mean the plethora of published and peer-reviewed journals and scientific papers are actually wrong. It's just that they are researched and written from the wrong context. This being a time of plenty with commercial pressure, food science and agribusiness aligned to sell you their product and make money and shift the blame for disease elsewhere. They provide you with food that hits your hardwired needs, and paid scientists try to explain how it works, and that it's not really the sugar. It's the fat in your diet, and you're just lazy and lacking willpower, and that's actually why you're fat. Really, it's actually your fault. You haven't done enough exercise. It's just calories in to calories out. Now, I've read many textbooks that perpetuate this lie, even modern ones that now say one carb is just not the same as the other. Unfortunately, we are uncivilized Cro-Magnon man, or the kind of modern variant of that. Out of history, built for survival in a modern era of food security, hyperpalatability, and stress. Now, these are very important points. We fail to take particular account of our epigenetics and how your genes work to help you survive when under stress, both environmental and psychosocial. These factors are not commonly well looked at or reported on in the dietetic science. We will discuss epigenetics and the Barker hypothesis later, which will bring you a greater understanding of how these important concepts affect humans. I think it is really important to understand that mankind has really only had sugar in its present form for about 500 years. It was originally prohibitively expensive and was only consumed at that stage 500 years ago by the lords and the gentry, the wealthy kings and queens of Europe and their courtiers. Now, as time went on, the cost of sugar went down and the availability of sugar went up. And instead of it only being for the kings and queens and their courtiers, it became available to the masses. In fact, the masses craved it. Sugar in its present form and its present commercial availability, and more specifically, its price point, has only become a thing since the end of World War II. Further, the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s saw the advent of the creation of high fructose corn syrup as a replacement for sucrose. Now, sucrose is a technical name for what we also know as table sugar. Sucrose is made of glucose and fructose bound together. Sucrose was largely imported into the States from Cuba, which is just off the coast, which until Fidel Castro came along had been a colony and a debauched playground of the United States of America. Now, without access to these plantations, US food was in dire straits. Without that.
Want to see more? To access the complete Carbohydrates and Controversies course and continue your learning journey, Visit our site and enroll now at optihuman.com.au.